Hello, and welcome back to Youth Code Jam's online Bits and Bytes lessons. Today we're going to learn how to do some of the most common keyboard shortcuts and learn about some of the most common icons that you'll see in different programs. That includes things like Word, Excel, or Google Sheets, or Google Docs. So to do this, we're going to kind of switch back and forth between the PowerPoint and a worksheet I have for you all. So when we get to that point, that worksheet, if you signed up for the online lessons and couldn't attend, it's in the email that came with the link. Go ahead and download it. If not, we'll show you where to go to find it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I mean by a keyboard shortcut. A keyboard shortcut is a combination of keys that lets you complete a task quickly. So some of the most common ones might be copy and paste. And this isn't really something you can do with a tablet or a mobile phone. So you will need to have either a laptop or a desktop, maybe a tablet with an attached keyboard so that you can try these shortcuts out and really see how they work. But these are very helpful for a lot of reasons. They make work a lot faster. So why learn keyboard shortcuts? Like I said, it will make working on a laptop or desktop easier. Little things like copy and paste can take a lot of time if you go through all the steps to go to let's say you're in Word and you go to edit and then cut and then click on where you want on the page and then go to edit and then paste to paste that text. That takes a lot of extra time. If you can just do a keyboard shortcut, you save, it's just a few seconds maybe, but all that adds up, and we'll see. It makes you more efficient and skilled at coding and just at working in general, learning how to do these shortcuts. So the shortcuts we're doing today don't really have much to do with coding directly, but you might use them in coding programs or coding environments when you get to that point and you're working with text. So if you need to go to the start of a line, there's a shortcut for that so that you don't have to stop what you're doing and either go to the trackpad or the mouse to go to the start of the line. So it cuts down on time spent working, so you can have more time for fun. So like I said, if you go through the process every time of file save and then saving everything there, or file save as, you waste a lot of time, which cuts into your free time. And can improve your health. So some of you might have heard about carpal tunnel syndrome, and that's from doing small repetitive motions over a long period of time, and that builds up in your wrist. But this can also happen from typing on the keyboards or using the mouse. It's especially aggravated actually by using the mouse. When I worked as a web page designer, I used the mouse a lot to click and drag things around a page. And it really hurts your wrist because of the angle that you're at. Even if you have all the special tools to try and help make that a better situation, eventually it will start to hurt your wrist. So using the keyboards actually is better for your wrist over time. So these are some of the ones we're going to look at, and a lot are related to each other. So we'll look at copy, cut, and paste, and those all kind of go together. Undo and redo, very important, especially with typing and coding. Find, so how to find something in the document you're in. How to switch programs. Zoom in and zoom out. How to take a screenshot. That one's not really important per se, but it's really fun. So you're going to have to really pay attention, and one of the things you're going to have to pay attention to is what device you have. So if you have a Windows computer, you have a logo somewhere on your screen that looks like this. It might be over here in the bottom corner, and it might pop up with your home menu. So if you have a Windows computer, your keyboard shortcuts are going to be different than people who have a MacBook computer. And I have a MacBook, so we have included both in this presentation, and so that you guys can look at them, but you will have to know which software you're running on, or operating system. So this is typically what a Windows computer keyboard will look like if you have a Dell at school. These are what those keyboards look like. So what we want to point out here is for most of these keys, you're just going to use Control. If you're on a Windows computer, you're going to use the Control key here. And then usually it's going to be a combination of Control and then hitting a letter on the board. Sometimes you might use the Shift key here. So we have one, I think, where there's that. And then if you're on a MacBook like me, instead of Control, our keyboard shortcuts use Command. So I can't tell you why they wanted to be that different, but they did. So our keyboard shortcuts will use the Command key, which is right next to the space bar on either side, depending on if you're right or left-handed, so that's helpful. Our Command key will be what we use for Control. And again, we have this written out so that you can see it. And then we'll also use the Shift key here for a couple things. So the first two we're going to look at is copy and paste. And for this, I'm going to actually switch over to, I'm going to pull up all the text here. So what we're going to do is in our worksheet document is we're going to highlight a phrase that we want to copy. And we're going to use one of these two commands here. So we'll use, if you're on a Windows, you're going to use the Control and C. So you're going to hold down the Control key on your keyboard and then tap C. So sometimes Control might be shortened on your keyboards, and same with Command. That's why we have these. It's the same keys in both structures here. So like I said, Windows, you're going to look for the Control key on your keyboard and then click C to copy that phrase. And Apple, you're going to hold down the Command key and then press C to copy the phrase. Then we're going to click somewhere in our document that we want to paste it. And we're going to do Control V on Windows for pasting and Command V on Apple for pasting. So I'm going to demo this, and unfortunately you can't see the keys I'm going to do, but I will go over it for both. So in this worksheet, it should, if you don't have it from an email, then you can go to usecodejam.org. And for now, go under Jam at Home, and it should be under Coding Activities. This might change, so look for Coding Activities or Bits and Bytes Activities. We might change that in the future, but it will be under Latest Activity or under down here under the Month's Activities. And you can find the worksheet will be available with the video. If you're watching this and the video is long gone from this page, then you can get a maybe old homework assignment and practice with that you can copy and paste from. Don't open any of your parents' important documents. So like I said, we're going to copy and paste, and we're going to copy and paste this very famous phrase for people learning to type. And the reason it's famous is because it has all the letters of the alphabet in it, so you end up typing all of them. But we're going to take our cursor and highlight that sentence. And then Windows users, you're going to hold down your Control key and press C. Mac users, you're going to hold down the Command key and press C. So you can see nothing happened on my screen, but maybe you saw up here in the corner that if you're looking right now, that edit flashed. So that means I did do something. I hopefully copied it. And then where it says paste the copied sentence here, I'm going to click my cursor afterwards. And then Windows users, you're going to hold down Control and then tap V. Mac users, you're going to hold down Command and tap V. So the first one was Control C, C as in cat, or Command C, again, C as in cat to copy. And then to paste, it's either Control V, V as in violet, for Windows users, and then Mac users, you're going to do Command V, again, V as in violet, not B or D, V as in violet to paste. Right, so that was simple enough. We're going to switch back to our PowerPoint over here. And this time we're going to practice that pasting again. We're going to cut this time. So the difference between copy and cut should be pretty obvious, but we'll go over it. Copy makes a copy so that the original exists here and the copied one exists down here. In cut, we're going to remove this sentence from this space and paste it here. So this time, highlight our sentence. And Windows users, you're going to hold down Control and tap X on your keyboard. Mac users, you're going to do Command and X. And that'll make the sentence disappear because we cut it, we removed it from that spot. And then we're going to click after our paste the cut sentence here line. And just like before, for Windows users, you're going to use Command V, V as in Violet. And Mac users, you're going to use Windows users will use Control V, and Mac users will use Command V. And so you should end up with that sentence there. And if at any point this video goes too fast and you're not sure and you need to go back and look at something, go ahead and pause it and then pick up when you're ready. So what we just did was Control X for Windows to cut. Apple was Command plus X to cut. And Windows and Apple are both, Windows is Control V and Apple is Command V. So those three are the ones you will probably do the most until you get to more advanced stuff. So now we're going to work on undo and redo. So this undo is in case you make a typo or make a mistake and you want to undo it. And you will be able to undo an action in a program normally until you reach the point where you saved last. And then redo, you'll be able to redo actions until you reach the last one that you made, the newest one that you made. But we're just going to do one redo and one undo this time. So back in our document, I'm going to come to the undo and redo part. And we're going to copy this sentence. So I'm highlighting our sentence that we've been working with. I'm going to make a copy of it. And then I'm going to paste it right underneath. So this one's indented. You don't have to worry about indenting yours. So I pasted that right underneath. Pretty simple enough. We're just practicing skills we already learned. All right, so we're going to undo that paste. So Windows users, you're going to hold down Control and Z. Z as in zebra, so Control and Z. Mac users, you're going to hold down Command and Z. So if I hold down those keys, it makes that sentence disappear. Now this isn't cut, it's gone. We removed it. We can get it back though. And I need to refresh which one it is. Yes, okay. So if we want to redo that, we could actually do this in two ways. So if we wanted to repaste that, we could probably still do the paste action because it still exists in what's called the clipboard. But if we wanted to do a true redo, Windows users, you're going to hold down Control and press Y. Mac users, you're going to hold down Command and press Y. And that'll redo that action. Okay. So I don't normally do a lot of redos, but I do a lot of undos in my work. So that's another big one for you guys to know. Okay, so we're going to do something called the find command. And this one might not be of much interest to you guys right now, but it's going to be very important later when you have a lot of reading to do and you're trying to go back and find one paragraph and it's either on a website or in a PDF and you can't find it, but you know there's a phrase in it. So you're going to search for that phrase and hope it comes up. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to find the word snacks in this paragraph, and then we're going to change that color to blue just so we can prove that we found it. And to do that, Windows users, you're going to hold down Control F, F as in fish, and Mac users, you're going to hold down Command F. And so nothing happened on our screen, well on our page, but if you notice over in the right corner, we now have a blinking cursor in a field that says Find in Documents. We're going to search this document for the word snacks. And you can see it showing me it found one of two instances. So I can use these arrows, if we had these very far apart, we can use these arrows to navigate between the two instances. But I want the one that's in the paragraph here. So I'm going to click down and get one, and then I'm going to take my cursor, and even though that's highlighted green, it's not really active yet. So I'm going to take my cursor and highlight it so that it has my actual highlight on it, and then come up to the text color button here and change it to blue. Okay. Easy enough. Alright, so that's how we would find something. Again, that's really helpful if you are looking for a very specific phrase and you're sure about it, but you can't find it in the document, or you're looking for a subsection of a chapter you're reading for school. That's very helpful for reading long things online without having to go through every page. Alright, so the next we're going to do is zoom in and zoom out. So for this case, because I'm working in Google Docs, it's going to zoom in on my window here, which is fine. But if I wanted to zoom in on the page, I would actually come over here and use this drop down. So this is how I would zoom out on the page itself and zoom in. But this is actually going to make the view of my space bigger. So to do zoom in and zoom out, we're going to use the plus and minus keys for this one. So I'm just going to come over here. And actually, it might be easier to see on the website what's happening because there's more going on here. So let's use this as my demo. So the plus and the minus keys are going to be up in the right corner of your keyboard. This is for both Mac and Windows keyboards. And it's next to the, there should be a delete key in the upper right, and it's the 2 and the next to that there. So they're both after the 0. So to zoom in, Windows users, you're going to hold down Control and tap the plus sign as many times as you want. Mac users, you're going to hold down Command and tap the plus sign as many times as you want. So that zoomed me in. If you saw real quick, it zoomed me in at, I'm now at 125% after 2 clicks. And I'm going to keep that going. And you can also see that once I do that, I have this toggle bar here, but we're learning keyboards so that we don't have to worry about pausing our work and clicking on that. So I'm zoomed in at 200% now. And it's actually pretty obnoxious in size, and I don't like that. So if I want to zoom out, Windows users, you're going to hold down Control and tap the minus key as many times as you want. And then Mac users, you're going to hold down the Command key and tap the minus sign. So we can see now that my zoom percentage is going back down. I typically like to work at 100%. For most websites, this is a decent size for me. You can go smaller, so that's 90, 80. The lowest you can go in Chrome is 25. So here you can see the whole page and everything on it, but you can't read it. Not well. So 100 is comfortable for me. Some people might need it a little more zoomed in than that. Some people might need it a little less. But that's one way to kind of help make things better. And that works in most programs as well. So if you're working in, I don't know, Photoshop, or you're working in InDesign or Word or anything like that, those 2 keys will work in those programs for the most part. All right, so let's see. Oops, we skipped one. Zoom in, zoom out. Oh, I had a slide get out of order. Let's switch that. Sorry. Okay, so the last thing we're going to learn is to take a screenshot. And we're going to take just a second here because this is very different for Windows and Mac users. Not so much in the commands that we're going to show you, but Windows actually has a few more ways than Mac users do, or at least a few more than I'm aware about. So Windows users, I'm going to show you the shortcuts today that are similar to the Mac users. But you can also do both of these functions in a different way. Okay, so we're just going to talk about the other ways. So this print scan key will take a, if you just hit that on your keyboard, it will take a picture and save it to the clipboard of your device so that you can place it, of your computer, so that you can place that somewhere you want. And that will take a picture of your full screen, I believe. If you hold down the Alt key and the print scan, that's going to take a picture of the active window. So if I had a Windows and took a picture right now, it would just take a picture of my Chrome browser that I have open. And then you have these 2 options, which are a little more similar to what the Apple is. So on your keyboard, there's a Windows key, so that it has that Windows icon on it. If you hold down Windows and print scan, you're going to get a screenshot of your whole screen. So that would be everything on my screen from up here where this Apple is to all the way down here where my trash can is. Everything would be covered. If you just wanted to select a portion of your screen to save, you're going to hold down that Windows key and then Shift and S, and you'll be able to drag and draw a space that you want to take a picture of. Most Windows computer also have something called the snipping tool installed on that, and it will do the same thing. All of these ways, using the keys and the snipping tool will create an actual photo where it's just hitting the print scan key creates a copied image, but it's not saved anywhere, so you have to go paste it somewhere. It makes things easier to paste within Word, but maybe if you wanted to email it somewhere, it wouldn't be quite the same. In Apple, we have something similar, so we're going to use Command Shift and 3 to take a picture of the full screen. So I'm going to demo that right now. So this is what taking a picture of the full screen looks like, and I'm holding down Command Shift 3 on the Apple. And you can see it gives me a little preview down here. And this is automatically, my settings have this automatically going to the desktop. You guys will have to check your settings. These might show up in Photos instead, in your photo files. So you'll have to see where that goes. It just depends on what you've configured it to. But you can see my whole screen is here. Alright, so that was that preview. If I want to just capture part of my screen and decide what I draw, what's captured, I'm going to hold down Command Shift 4. And like I said, this is only for Macs, but you can see my cursor changed into kind of a target right there. So I'm going to go up to the corner of the slide and drag it to the bottom right corner. And it got a whole nother picture here. And we can see there I just have a screenshot of the slide. So again, Windows, you're going to hold down the Windows key in your print scan if you just want a full screenshot. And if you want to do a partial screenshot or select the part of the screen to capture, you're going to hold down Windows key, Shift, and S. So the Windows key, Shift, and S. The best way to do that is to hold down the Windows key, Shift, and then tap S. And then same for Apple. Hold down Command and Shift and then tap 3 for the full picture or tap 4 for the selection. And if you want, you can try to insert, just for practice of working with files, you can try to add your file to the worksheet here or your photo to the worksheet here. Close enough on where it goes. Okay. So we talked about some of the common keyboard functions, keyboard shortcuts, but there's also other functions that I'm going to say they live within a program. They're normally attached within it. So if we head back over to that worksheet, you can see that we have the color changing tool here. You can have the print tool here, and did not mean to click on that. But if I wanted to come to File, we could see Print has a little printer sign right next to it. And then next to it, that's Command for Mac, that little symbol. That's Command P. So Windows users, you could hit Control P, and that would also activate printing. Up here you have Command O in addition to Open, and all kinds of things here. So there's lots of symbols and icons within them. These normally do require using a keyboard to access, or, sorry, not a keyboard, a trackpad or a mouse, but that's okay. You need to know what some of them are. So like I said, that's to change your text color, that's the printer, that's the trash can, so that's normally an delete. A lot of these have keyboard shortcuts. We're not going to go over every keyboard shortcut today. You should look them up for your device and learn what they are. But we're going to talk about some of these, and I'm not going to demo them. I'm just going to talk about, well, I'm not going to demo all of them. So we have Save, which is Command S or Control S depending on your device. And then you have the icon here. So that Save icon will save your file as it is, as it exists. The Save As icon right here, it normally looks like, these are floppy disks, by the way, if you guys don't know. I think for the most part, these are the icons that are still used in most programs. But these are something we used to use instead of USBs or the cloud to save documents to these and move it from one computer to the other. So I don't know if you'll ever see one in real life, but for right now, these icons are still being used to represent Save and Save As. And there's something to know about these two, and I'm going to demo this one. So Save As is hard to do in this environment. Google Docs automatically saves. But if I hit Command S or Control S, it will save my progress as it is right now. But let's look at it right here. So we don't have it in this one. Let me open another document here. Okay, so testing, la la la, just a bunch of gibberish that it wants to capitalize. Okay, so now if I come over here, I don't have those icons in this program. They don't exist, but if I hit Command Save, or Command S, which is save, it's going to bypass the regular save function because I don't have it yet. I don't have it, this file doesn't exist yet. So it's actually going to make me save as, even though it says save. So this is the save as feature when we give a file a name and tell it where to live. So I'm just going to save it on my desktop and give it the name test. Okay, so now it's saved and it exists and I can keep working. And now if I do the Command S feature, or I hit the save button, it's going to just save what it's there. So it saves it to the existing file. And now this is added. So if my program crashes, all this text still exists for me if the program or my computer crashes. So I'm going to add a little bit more. And this time I want to do save as. And to do that for Apple users, I'm going to hold down Command Shift S. And then for Windows users, it's going to be Control Shift S. So click back on pages. So Command Shift S. So here, it copied the paper and it's telling me to rename it. In Windows or with Microsoft Word, you're going to get that pop-up window again. So what you're going to do is, let's do another one. So if I want to do Command Shift S, whoops, it's going to bring up this window for you. So it's going to tell you what to save as, and you're going to give it a name. And you can tell it where to save it. So I could have that file stay as test if I wanted to, and just move it to, let's see, I'm on my desktop right now, and just put it in another folder. And I can have that file name test in as many places as I want. And so it's going to keep going back to the last place I saved. So if I wanted to save the document again under a different name so that I had copies, I could just give it a different extension at the end or a different name there and name it test2. So there are big differences between those two. So save saves what stuff into an existing file. It updates the existing file. Save as creates a new document in a determined location, and if you can rename it. You can do another save as on a named document and give it a different name or give it a different location, but they are different. So this is more to do with creating the original document, and this is updating the document. Some common ones that you'll see as well are the bold. So if you highlight, I don't know, let's highlight dog. So you can hit bold here, or you can use the keyboard shortcuts Command B or Command or Control B, B as in ball. And if I use the keyboard shortcuts, it doesn't matter. If it's unbolded, it will bold. If it's bolded, it will unbold. And then same for italic. So italicize is going to be Command I. And for Windows, it's going to be Control I. If I want to get rid of that, I can do Command I again, or undo if it was an immediate action I had just done. And then underline, you can hit, so there's the italicized key. Underline is here. You can use Command U or Control U to add that as well. But those shortcuts are there. So again, it's a lot faster to use your keyboard keys than it is to come up here and click these buttons or find those buttons most of the time. Like I said earlier, there's a lot more, so many shortcuts, so many that we just can't go over today, mostly because they don't demonstrate well in this kind of environment. But I encourage you to kind of look up, maybe search online keyboard shortcuts for Windows devices or Apple devices to see what all you can do, and start practicing those when you're working to save yourself some time. Our next lesson is going to be on, working with files It's another important skill you guys need to have. We'll have some challenges to go along with that to make it a little bit more fun than just the presentation. So I encourage you guys to sign up for the live sessions, and we'll see you then.